Ladies and gentlemen, all a peaceful and pleasant Saturday morning. Today's weather news bulletin will accompany you through three main topics. First, the development of a tropical wave moving into the Caribbean Sea with potential for formation in the coming days. Second, the picture of dangerous weather expected to erupt over a large area of the United States from this evening through early tomorrow morning, featuring thunderstorms, strong gusty winds, and hail. And finally, a short devotional segment, offering a few moments of reflection on this busy weekend morning. We will present this in a television news style, concise, structured, cautious with data, respectful of the uncertainty in forecast models, and always focused on practical, safe guidance for the community. If you need a prayer topic or have a personal message to share, please leave it in the comments so we can reflect together. We begin with the tropical Atlantic Caribbean region. On early morning satellite imagery, a band of convective clouds stretching from the central Atlantic is moving westward toward the eastern Caribbean. The most recognizable signs are the cold spots on infrared imagery, deep red and white patches indicating very high cloud tops and strong convective towers. These mark areas of intense thunderstorms associated with a fairly long and broad tropical wave, which has not yet formed a clear low-level center. When such a wave enters warm waters, typically above 28 to 29 degrees Celsius, and encounters reduced vertical wind shear, it gains a window to organize and consolidate circulation, which in some cases can strengthen into a tropical depression or tropical storm. At this time, background conditions show both supportive factors, warm seas, sufficient mid-level moisture, and limiting ones, upper-level shear, a strong westerly flow crossing the northern Caribbean, and possible dry air intrusion on the northern flank. Therefore, the accurate characterization of this system is that it is potentially favorable, but still uncertain. From the operational agency's standpoint, the region of the tropical wave is currently marked as an area of interest, with a low to moderate chance of tropical cyclone formation over the next several days to a week. The percentage may fluctuate with each update, but what matters more than the number is why the probability remains modest. The main reason is that upper-level wind shear remains quite significant across the northern Caribbean, while the low-level structure of the wave is not yet consolidated enough to withstand that shear. Under these circumstances, various numerical models generate differing outcomes. Development-prone models emphasize the warm sea surface and favorable convergence over the central Caribbean, while more conservative models keep the system as a broad trough, producing clusters of storms but no closed circulation. In reality, most scenarios in recent hours have delayed potential organization by a few days, meaning that if development occurs, the favorable window may shift toward late next week. Even then, the maximum intensity is unlikely to be strong unless wind shear decreases substantially. Breaking down model families for clarity, the conservative ECMWF suggests a broad low moving through the central Caribbean, bringing intermittent scattered rain and storms but insufficient central pressure to earn a name. North American models such as the GFS occasionally depict a more aggressive scenario, drawing the vortex near the Greater Antilles, Hispaniola, Cuba, and even showing a storm in the 7 to 10 day frame. However, experience shows that beyond 7 days, reliability declines rapidly, and detailed track projections can easily flip when shear remains high. ICON, Germany, and CMC, Canada, sit in the middle ground, sometimes showing a weak storm near the Gulf of Honduras, Belize, northern Yucatan area, with widespread rain but modest winds. Machine learning and AI-based ensemble models have also reduced the number of strong development members compared to the previous day, leaning toward a slowly organizing disturbance. From a broader perspective, the message for residents of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico coast is, at present, there are no specific storm warnings, but official advisories should be followed every 6 to 12 hours, especially for those living in Jamaica, Hispaniola, Cuba, the Greater Antilles Islands, or coastal Central America from Honduras to Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. The greatest near-term risk, even without a named storm, remains local downpours, gusty winds within storms, lightning, and prolonged rain leading to localized flooding in low-lying areas. Small boats operating near storm clusters should reduce speed, monitor rain radar, and seek safe anchorage when tall cumulonimbus clouds spread quickly, since gust fronts can intensify abruptly. Turning to the continental United States, the second focus of today's bulletin. A large-scale trough is deepening and progressing eastward from the Great Plains toward the central and eastern U.S. ahead of the trough. A southwesterly flow channels warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico northward, creating a favorable environment for convection, moist low levels, moderately unstable mid-levels, and vertical wind shear, all ingredients for organized thunderstorms, squall lines, and in certain zones, short-lived tornadoes. This setup often produces two waves of severe weather during the afternoon and evening. Scattered storms develop over the western edge of the moist sector, eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, Arkansas, then merge into a strong squall line, QLCS, sweeping through Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee overnight. Farther north, a broader area of heavy, steady rain, not necessarily severe storms, extends through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and southern Michigan, raising the risk of flash flooding in poor drainage areas. In terms of risk categories, much of the South, Southeast, and lower Midwest fall under a level 2 of 5, slight risk, for severe storms. Cities along the corridor of concern include Little Rock, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Shreveport, Monroe, Louisiana, and the eastern outskirts of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. Later in the night, the squall line may reach Birmingham, Huntsville, Alabama, and the western edge of Georgia. Main threats: damaging straight-line winds exceeding 90 km per hour along the line. Moderate-sized hail, as greater than or equal to 2.5 centimeters, in initial discrete storms over eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, western Arkansas, and brief spin-up tornadoes along the central and southern segments where low-level shear is strongest. Local upgrades are possible if midday observations show early convective initiation, sufficient CAPE, and improved shear alignment. For planning purposes, the estimated timeline, from late morning to early afternoon, local time. Scattered storms may ignite around Tulsa, McAllister, Oklahoma, and Waco, Corsicana, Tyler, Texas. Moving into Arkansas by evening. From dusk through midnight, storms likely consolidate into a line extending west-east across Arkansas, northern Mississippi, western Tennessee. Between midnight and dawn, the line continues eastward through Alabama and western Georgia, weakening as it loses upper-level support. On the system's northern wing, long-duration rain stretches across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, southern Michigan, not a violent storm zone, but a hydrological concern. Repeated rainfall over saturated soils could trigger localized urban and valley flooding. Total precipitation through the event may reach 50 to 100 millimeters. Locally higher along the rain axis. Beyond convection, background winds merit attention. Across mountainous regions, wind advisories may be needed along the windward slopes of the Appalachians, affecting high-profile vehicles on passes. The northern Rockies and upper valleys of Montana, Idaho may see localized high wind alerts due to terrain effects. Behind the front, cool, dry air will sweep rapidly southward, bringing a clear, seasonal shift across the south-central U.S. by the following morning. Quick clearing skies, northerly breezes, and crisp visibility. For outdoor events such as fall festivals or weekend football games, organizers are advised to pause activities when lightning is detected within 10 to 15 kilometers. Provide safe shelter areas, and monitor real-time radar. In a gentler transition, let's take a moment to appreciate the autumn foliage across the eastern United States. This is the most beautiful time of year along the Blue Ridge Great Smoky Mountains corridor and adjacent highlands. Color is peaking around mid-elevations near Asheville, North Carolina, while lower valleys usually reach peak about a week later. Travel advice: depart early to avoid congestion on mountain roads. Monitor wind advisories for ridge routes, and check park schedules. Many scenic drives can be crowded on peak weekends. If traveling with children or elderly companions, Remember that temperature differences between day and night in mountain zones are large. Carry light jackets, water, and a basic first aid kit. Returning to the tropics to close the technical portion, a frequent question arises: if this wave develops, what would the next storm name be? And where would it go? As for naming, the list is predetermined. Once the disturbance reaches tropical storm strength, the responsible agency assigns the next name. Regarding track, until a defined low center forms, all track lines are hypothetical. True trajectory guidance only becomes meaningful once the circulation closes and upper-level steering currents are established. For now, scenarios remain broad. The system could linger over the Central Caribbean for several days, approach Central America, the Gulf of Honduras, or turn northward toward Hispaniola, the Bahamas if shear relaxes quickly. To emphasize, this is not yet a specific impact forecast for any location. What matters is steady monitoring, calm alertness, and small but useful preparations, checking roofs and gutters, charging devices, ensuring minimal water and battery supply if you live in areas prone to power outages during thunderstorms. For residents across the southern and southeastern United States over the next 24 hours, the safety reminders remain familiar but always vital. Stay updated with local warnings when severe thunderstorm or tornado alerts are issued. Seek sturdy shelter immediately. Avoid open areas or large trees. Never drive through flooded roads even if only 15 to 20 centimeters deep. Unplug unnecessary electronics during frequent lightning. And always have a backup plan for outdoor events. For gardeners and farmers, harvest early where possible. Secure trellises. Tie down light structures, and bring easily blown items indoors before evening storms. For coastal boaters near the Gulf, heed marine advisories. Nighttime squall lines move fast, and gust fronts can be hazardous for small craft. Now, before ending the bulletin, let us pause for a brief devotional, a moment to regain balance after speaking so much about uncertainty, risk, and the storms of weather and of life itself. The verse from Ephesians chapter 5 verses 1 to 2 reminds us, "Be imitators of God. Therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in love." Living in love is not easy when work piles up and the noise of life, children's laughter, traffic, interruptions, intrudes on every plan. Yet, just like weather forecasting, we cannot control the wind or the clouds, but we can adjust the sail. To live in love is to set a course for the heart, to pause before reacting, to choose words carefully, to act in ways that bring peace instead of turmoil. Somewhere around us, someone may be watching, needing an example of kindness to believe that goodness still exists. Let our patience, gentleness, and compassion become that positive signal, a lighthouse shining through the windy night. Dear viewers, to summarize today's bulletin: 1. The tropical wave entering the Caribbean has potential but remains hindered by shear. Chances of formation may rise slightly as it moves into the Central Caribbean, but strong development scenarios are not dominant. 2. The continental U.S. braces for widespread severe storms this afternoon and tonight, with the affected corridor running from eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, Arkansas through Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. Threats include damaging winds, moderate hail, and brief tornadoes, while farther north, prolonged rain extends across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, southern Michigan. 3. The eastern U.S. is entering the golden season of autumn foliage at mid-elevations. Travelers should note mountain winds and rapid weather shifts with altitude. All of this has been conveyed in a careful, factual spirit, avoiding exaggeration, emphasizing safety, and offering practical advice. If you find this bulletin helpful, please consider clicking like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you won't miss future updates. If you have a prayer request to share, please leave it below. We will read, remember, and pray with you. Wishing you a peaceful Saturday, success in your work, and warmth in your family. Thank you sincerely for watching, and see you again in tomorrow morning's bulletin.